A story that sounds like a mix of Scarface and German rap, full of unanswered questions. Who are we talking about? Kolja Goldstein, a guy who shook up the gangsta rap scene and divided people into fans and skeptics who claim his image is a fairy tale. Do you know him? If you do, you know he's not your average rapper. If not, get ready for a ride. From peaceful Bavaria through a criminal swamp to luxury in Amsterdam, where even Interpol supposedly has him on their radar. He shines in photos with heavyweights of the global underworld. Necati Arabaci, the Turkish king of the underground, is just one of them. Who is Kolja? A gangster who survived street hell, or a storyteller selling tales like something out of Tarantino? In this episode, we'll break it down piece by piece. What's true and what's a marketing gimmick? Thumbs up, let me know what we should cover next, and here we go. The story of Kolja Goldstein starts now. Who is Kolja? Kolja Goldstein, or rather Nicholas Thomas Sheehan, was born on November 27, 1991, in Augsburg, southern Germany. He grew up in Rohrau an der Ilm, a small, quiet town near Munich where life moves slowly and people know each other like in a typical Bavarian village. Kolja himself says he comes from a good home, a stable family, parents who cared about his future, and no major childhood dramas. After elementary school, he went to secondary school and earned what's called Mittlere Reife, the German equivalent of a mid-level education. Then his life took a rather unusual turn. He started training as a chef at Feinkost Käfer, a renowned gourmet deli company from Munich, famous for its luxury products and catering to the elite. That's no small feat. Feinkost Käfer is a brand with tradition, and working there required precision and ambition. Later, Kolja even moved to Paris, where he worked in high-end gastronomy, honing his skills in kitchens that served the social elite. At this point in his life, no one would have guessed that this guy in a white apron would one day trade his kitchen knife for a microphone in street stories. But this was just the beginning. The quiet life was about to end fast. First brushes with the law. Something started shifting in Kolja's life when he returned to Germany after his Paris stint. Word has it that in 2008, at just 17 years old, he landed in his first serious trouble with the law. He was sentenced to 18 months in a juvenile detention center. Officially, we don't know what he did, because Kolja doesn't like dwelling on the details of his past. Some speculate it might have been petty theft or fights, but the lack of specifics only fuels the aura of mystery around him. After that episode, his life picked up speed. In 2011, he moved to Bosnia and Herzegovina, which in itself sounds like an unusual move for a young German. There, in the town of Hum, he allegedly got into trouble again, arrested and sentenced to 24 months in prison. He served 13 months in the Zenica Correctional Facility, with the rest of his sentence converted to parole. Back in Germany, he didn't rest on his laurels. He worked as a bouncer in Munich's techno clubs like MMA and Bob Beeman, which were the epicenter of the underground scene at the time. He also took a job as a bartender, but rumors say he was already rubbing shoulders with shady characters. Something clearly pulled him toward a life beyond the law. The question is, how deep did he dive in? Early days in music. Music had been part of Kolja's life since he was a kid. As a teenager, he wrote lyrics and recorded amateur tracks, probably on some old mic in a basement. But the real breakthrough came in 2016 when he decided to take rap seriously. He teamed up with producer Beat Baron, who helped give his work a professional edge. Under the pseudonym Kolja, he dropped his debut single, Bereit, a raw, straightforward track that showed he had something to say. He quickly made connections in the industry. He guested on tracks by Alias, a well-known German rapper. You can hear him on Wir sind Major, a song that was making waves back then. What's more, Kolja joined Alias on tour and performed at Open Air Frauenfeld in Switzerland, one of Europe's biggest hip-hop festivals, a real launchpad for young artists. It was clear even then that Kolja didn't want to just be a feature artist. He had ambitions to go solo and hit the scene hard. His flow and charisma started drawing attention, but what was happening outside the studio would soon define his career. Life in the shadow of crime. Let's rewind to that darker side of Kolja, because that's what sets him apart from other rappers. In 2017, according to his own stories, he was caught up in a shooting in Copenhagen. 2 bystanders were injured, and the incident shook the local community. Kolja claims it turned his life upside down again, but the details are hazy. We don't know if he was the perpetrator or just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That same year, he returned to Germany and ran into more trouble, allegedly convicted of drug trafficking and planning a murder. The sentence? 2 years behind bars in a German prison. After getting out in 2019, he decided to leave the past behind, at least partly, and moved to Amsterdam. There he settled with his wife and son, building a new life in a city that became his home base. Amsterdam, with its liberal vibe and shady corners, fit his style perfectly. It's where a new era began for Kolja, both personally and musically. But did he really break with the past, or just transplant it to new soil? That question keeps coming back like a boomerang. Career breakthrough. 2020 was a turning point for Kolja as an artist. He uploaded Alice im Griff to YouTube, a raw minimalist video he edited himself, no big budget. It was the first track under the name Kolja Goldstein that really took off. People started talking, and the views piled up fast. Soon after, he signed with Groove Attack, a well-known German hip-hop label. In 2021, he released the EP Art and Design, but the partnership with Groove Attack fell apart quickly. Rumors point to creative differences. Kolja didn't let it faze him and dropped the EP on his own, proving he could handle things solo. The real breakthrough, though, came with Terminal, a dark, heavy track that revolutionized his career. The lean, alle meine Freunde sind nervös, denn einer meiner Freunde hat einen seiner Freunde wie Säure aufgelöst, not only shocked listeners, but also won the Hip Hop Dode Award for the best line of 2021. That was the moment Kolja Goldstein stopped being an underground player. He became a name every German rap fan knew. That lyric sounds like something straight out of a Quentin Tarantino movie, not a rap verse, and that's exactly what drew the crowds. Gangsta rap and authenticity. Kolja Goldstein is the essence of gangsta rap. His lyrics are like a chronicle of the criminal underworld. He raps about drug trafficking, violence, murders, and delivers it all with such detail that listeners feel like they're witnessing it firsthand. Take ABC, for example. Kolja name drops real underworld figures like Naima Jilal, a Moroccan cocaine baroness who vanished in 2019, or Jan van Zandvoort, a Dutch dealer who disappeared into thin air in 2016. In Terminal, he hints at a gruesome murder in Amsterdam, a body dissolved in acid, a story ripped straight from crime reports. These aren't fairy tales. They're facts he weaves seamlessly into his tracks. Then there's the music video shot in Morocco, exposing the underbelly of the drug trade, or his song about the macro mafia. Without connections in that world, a track like that is like dancing on a tightrope over a cliff. In Amsterdam, those people don't mess around, yet Kolja's still standing, so he probably hasn't stepped on their toes. I made a whole YouTube episode about the macro mafia, breaking down their influence piece by piece. Check his Instagram, and you'll see pics with titans of the underworld like Nikati Arabaci, the Turkish kingpin who ruled Europe's gambling and prostitution markets, a name that still commands respect from Istanbul to Berlin. Kolja paints himself as someone who didn't just know that world, but lived and breathed it. The question is, how much of it is true and how much is clever staging? In 2022, Die Zeit decided to dig in. Journalists scrutinized his convictions and connections, suggesting Kolja might embellish a bit. He shot back, calling it fake news and nonsense. But the spark hit the powder keg. The debate about his authenticity exploded. To some, he's a living street legend. To others, a master storyteller who knows how to captivate a crowd. Career today. In 2023, Kolja dropped his debut album, Global, cementing his spot in the scene. A year later, in 2024, came Interpol, another record packed with dark tales and street vibes. He also signed with Chapter One, a label tied to Universal Music, showing his career's gone mainstream. But Kolja isn't just gangsta rap. He's got a signature flow and vocal tricks, like his famous vocal triggers. He repeats the first syllable in a line, which has become his trademark and sets him apart from other rappers. He lives in Amsterdam, but his Instagram stories show he's often in Dubai, a city of luxury that fits his current image perfectly. multi-millionaire, owner of fast cars, living on the edge. That's how Kolja Goldstein looks image-wise in 2025. But his story keeps getting messier. In January 2025, he released a collab with Du Maroc called Effectif, while new reports of European arrest warrants swirl in the background. Is this another chapter in his criminal saga, or just media noise? Time will tell. So, what do you think of Kolja Goldstein after all this? To some, he's a legit gangster who turned his life into music, a guy who's seen more than most crime writers could dream up. To others, he's a cunning storyteller, masterfully playing the line between truth and fiction, building a myth around himself. One thing's for sure, Kolja's got talent, charisma, and a knack for drawing crowds, no matter how much truth is in his tales. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you buy his image, or are you skeptical? Maybe you've got your own theories about who Nicholas Thomas Sheehan really is. Drop them below and subscribe to the channel. More heavy-hitting episodes are coming soon.